Picture this. You're on your phone, thumb hovering over the buy button, the countdown clock glaring at you like it's judging your life choices. You've promised yourself you'll be sensible this month, but then you see the price. Blimey. It's not just expensive. It's almost philosophically expensive. And suddenly you're asking the same question millions of people ask every tour season. Why on earth do concert tickets cost what they do? Today, we're going behind the curtain of the modern concert tour, not to gossip about celebrities, but to trace the money, the risk, and the sheer logistical wizardry that turns a performance into a traveling business. If you've ever wondered why your mate in Manchester paid half what you paid in London, or why the service fee feels like it's been invented purely to wind you up, you're in the right place. Let's begin with a truth that surprises people. The ticket price is rarely just about the artist deciding to charge more. It's a negotiated outcome shaped by venues, promoters, ticketing platforms, touring costs, and most of all, demand. That demand can be feverish. When a major artist announces a limited run, the market behaves like a kettle coming to the boil. Pressure builds quickly, and if the system isn't designed carefully, it whistles, spills, and burns whoever's nearest. Historically, you might have been told that artists make their money from albums and use touring to promote them. Fair enough, once upon a time, that was often true. But streaming has reshuffled the deck. 1 million streams may be flattering, but it won't necessarily pay for a mortgage in Zone 2. For many artists, touring is the proper income engine, not a side hustle. That means more pressure to make tours profitable, even as costs have climbed. So, what actually sits inside a ticket price? Start with the venue. Arenas and stadiums charge rental fees, and they don't do it out of charity. They also take a cut of various revenues: food and drink, merchandising, sometimes even parking. There are staffing costs to security, stewards, stagehands, medics, along with insurance, licensing, and local regulations. A big night out is, behind the scenes, a small city running at high intensity. Next comes the promoter. Promoters front a lot of the risk. They may pay the artist a guaranteed fee or agree on a revenue split. Either way, the promoter is typically responsible for marketing, local logistics, and, crucially, making sure the show doesn't lose money. And tours can lose money spectacularly. If ticket sales are sluggish, if a venue is too large, if bad weather hits an outdoor event, or if transport costs spike, a promoter can end up knackered financially. Then there's the touring party itself. People imagine a singer and a band. In reality, a large tour can involve dozens, sometimes hundreds, of workers: sound engineers, lighting designers, riggers, backline technicians, carpenters, wardrobe, hair and makeup, production managers, accountants, drivers, security teams, tour caterers, and the poor souls whose job is to make sure everyone's in the right place at the right time with the right pass. Each of those people needs to be paid, housed, fed, and insured. Transport is another monster. Trucks, buses, flights for international legs, freight for staging, instruments, and costumes. Since Brexit, touring between the UK and EU can involve more paperwork, carnets, and border delays, extra admin, and extra cost. Fuel prices fluctuate. Hotels surge during big events. Even storage costs rise. All of this gets baked into the budget, and budgets, in turn, push on ticket prices. Now we reach the bit that makes people properly cross: fees. You see a face value, and then the checkout adds a service fee, a facility fee, a processing fee. Sometimes it feels like the ticket's got its own entourage. Some fees cover real costs: payment processing, fraud prevention, customer support, venue operations. Others are, frankly, a way of shifting revenue without putting it on the headline price. It's not always transparent, and when it isn't, consumers feel mugged. But even if fees vanished overnight, you'd still have the core pricing problem: demand. Suppose an arena has 20,000 seats. Suppose 1 million people want to go. There is no world in which everyone gets a ticket at a bargain price. Scarcity is doing the talking. That's why ticket pricing has moved closer to what economists call price discrimination, charging different people different prices based on how much they're willing to pay. This is where dynamic pricing strolls in. acting as if it's just being helpful. In principle, dynamic pricing adjusts prices in real time based on demand, rather like plane tickets. If demand is low, prices may drop. If demand is high, prices rise. The argument is that instead of scalpers capturing the extra value by reselling at inflated prices, the artist and tour capture more of it directly. In practice, dynamic pricing can feel like being asked to pay a premium simply because you're keen on the artist. It's emotionally brutal. One minute you're buzzing, the next you're doing mental arithmetic and wondering if you can justify it. And because the system can change prices quickly, people end up with wildly different experiences. One person gets something almost reasonable. Another gets something that makes their eyes water. Now, let's talk about scalping, or what's often politely called secondary ticketing. Scalpers exploit scarcity. They buy at the primary sale and resell at a markup. The public response is usually, ban it, sorted, except it's not that simple. If you ban resale entirely, you also ban legitimate resale. The person who falls ill, the person whose shift changes, the person who bought two but now can't bring their partner. If you allow resale, you create an opportunity for professional resellers. So the industry tries partial solutions: limited transfers, identity checks, resale platforms with price caps, or paperless tickets tied to an app. Each has trade-offs. Identity checks can be inconvenient and discriminatory if people don't have the right documents. App-only tickets can exclude those without smartphones or stable internet. Price caps can be circumvented through fees or bundled offers. It's a perpetual cat-and-mouse game. Another lever is the VIP package. This is where you'll see terms like premium experience, early entry, exclusive lounge, commemorative lanyard. Sometimes it's genuinely decent, better sightlines, a pre-show reception, maybe access to a sound check. Other times, it's a rather underwhelming tote bag and the privilege of spending more money. But VIP serves a clear economic function. It extracts higher willingness to pay from a segment of fans, which can, in theory, allow some cheaper seats to exist elsewhere. There's also the phenomenon of platinum or premium seats, ordinary seats, sold at a higher price because demand is high. People often assume this money goes to the venue or the ticketing platform. Often, a chunk goes back into the tour's revenue pot. And that revenue may subsidize production. Larger screens, more lighting, more elaborate staging. In that sense, fans end up funding the spectacle. Yet, there's a cultural tension here. Live music isn't only a commodity, it's a shared experience, a kind of civic ritual. When prices soar, it changes who gets to be in the room. It can tilt the crowd towards those with deeper pockets, older demographics, corporate guests, or credit card bravery. For younger fans, it can mean watching clips online instead of being there in person. That shift can be subtle, but it matters. Let's step back and look at risk, because risk is the invisible hand gripping the spreadsheet. A tour is a huge upfront investment. Production is designed before tickets are sold. Rehearsals, crew hires, equipment rentals, stage construction, marketing spend. These costs arrive early. If the artist falls ill, if there's a security incident, if a venue has a structural issue, cancellations can happen. Insurance exists, but it's costly and often full of exclusions. After the pandemic, insurers became far more cautious and premiums rose. Promoters and artists responded, unsurprisingly, by pricing in uncertainty. And then there's currency risk on international tours. If you're paying crew in pounds but earning in euros, or paying suppliers in dollars while ticket sales are in local currency, fluctuations can hurt. Big tours hedge currencies like multinational companies do. That's not glamorous, but it's real. At this point, you might ask, why not simply keep tickets cheap, fill the venue, and earn money on merchandise? Merch helps, but it's not a magic wand. Merch has its own costs. Design, manufacturing, shipping, storage, staffing, and venues can take a commission. Also, people don't buy merch at the same rate they once did. Some fans are already stretched just getting through the door. You might also ask, why don't artists just play more shows? Sometimes they do, But there are limits: venue availability, travel routes, vocal strain, crew fatigue, and the law of diminishing returns. Add too many nights in one city and you risk saturating the market. Besides, for stadium tours, the build and teardown can be so complex that moving the whole production is like relocating a small festival every few days. So, are ticket prices destined to rise forever? Not necessarily. There are experiments worth watching. Some tours use lotteries to allocate tickets more fairly. Others reserve blocks of seats at lower prices for local residents, students, or key workers. Some cities and venues push for transparent fee displays, show the full price up front, so no one feels stitched up at checkout. Technology might help too, though it's a double-edged sword. Better anti-bot systems can reduce mass scalping, but bots evolve. Verified fan schemes attempt to filter buyers, but they can be opaque and frustrating. Digital identity tools might, in theory, make transfers safe and controlled, but they raise privacy questions. There's always a trade-off: convenience versus control, openness versus fairness. There's also a deeper question about what we want live music to be. If it's purely a market, then the price will drift toward whatever the most eager buyers can afford. If it's partly a public good, then we might support interventions that keep tickets accessible, even if that means limiting resale profits or requiring a quota of affordable seats. In Britain, there's a long tradition of arguing about this sort of thing in pubs, in parliament, and, if we're honest, in the comments section at 2 in the morning. Yet the answer isn't a single villain. It's a web of costs, incentives, and scarce seats. So next time you see a ticket price that makes you gasp, you'll know what's lurking behind it: venue economics, touring logistics, risk management, pricing strategies, and the strange emotional mathematics of fandom. Whether you decide to buy is up to you, but at least you won't be going in blind. If you're listening as an English learner, here's a little challenge. The next time you talk about concert tickets, try describing the problem from two perspectives: first as a fan, then as a promoter. If you can argue both sides and still sound natural, you're well on your way to real C2 fluency. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next episode.